Okay, so I've opened up a new Photoshop document. I'm going to do 10 by 12 inches by 300 pixels. You could do square, so 10 by 10. You could do a longer rectangle, 10 by 14. It's up to you. To start, what I might do is actually go to View and then do New Guide Layout. And these will create some rulers for you. So what I would do is change columns to 3 and rows to 3. And that gives me sort of this tic-tac-toe board, and these intersecting points here might be a really good place for you to place your focal point. So that would be your most important or most detailed or most interesting part of your composition, where you want your viewer's eye to go to first. And then from that point on, you can make, arrange your shapes in a way that creates movement around your composition. So what I would suggest is that you pick one of these intersecting points to use as your focal point. So I'm going to go with my upper left-hand corner point here, and that's the rule of thirds. It is a good design tool, helps you sort of arrange so that things aren't centered, like a bullseye effect, and it gives you a place to start. So I'm going to go back to this document where I created my shapes, and I actually just selected all of my shape layers. So I just did that by holding down the Command key on my keyboard and clicking on each layer that I want to copy into my new document. And I can actually just click and hold and drag these layers onto this tab and plop them right into my new canvas here. You can also just hit Command C and Command V to copy and paste them, but I find this easier. So now I have my shapes, and you could rename them here. So I could call this like eye or whatever shape that is. It's up to you if you want to rename them. It might help you. So from this point on, you can also select your color palette. That's what I would do. Right now, I don't really have a color palette, right? So what I would do is change my colors by clicking on the layer, clicking on the pen tool, and then I would change my color palette. So maybe for this, I'll do a complementary color harmony. So I'll pick some oranges and some different blues. So I'll do this like a light orange, and then this I will change to, this shape. That's a good color. We'll leave that. Which is this one? Nothing. That's the blue. We can leave the blue, and then we'll just change the reds. Okay, and then you can go back and change these again later as you work. It's totally fine. I'll change that to like a dark blue. Okay, so I've got my blues and a little pop of orange. So now you can go ahead and hit Command J to your heart's content. And I like to hit V on my keyboard, the V, because that will switch my cursor to the move tool, and I can easily move. So then I can also do Command T for transform, and I can drag my shape out to make it bigger, or I can rotate it. If you want to constrain proportions, again, hit Shift, right? We know that, and maybe rotate it a little bit. And then you can also, while you're here, change the blend modes for everything. You can do, what is it? Multiply, I think, will work well. So you could change those all to multiply if you wanted to. And some of these might end up changing, but the blend modes will give you some different areas of like transparency, basically. Okay, so let's move this guy. I'm going to do this. This is sort of like my interesting little shape here. And now you can see that the colors are blending. And then maybe you decide that you don't like that. So I'll pop these guys on top and change the blend mode to just normal. And now they're not transparent. You can also try other blend modes and see what happens. To see what works best. And you're not going to be able to really figure this out until you're sort of far along in the process. Those look kind of cool. So I'm just gonna leave it at normal, and maybe I'll just change my opacity a little bit so the other ones show through a little bit. Okay, and I would continue duplicating and transforming and changing colors. You can change, you know, the saturations of the colors. You could change the opacity so it's lighter. You can double click on layers and change the colors this way as well if it's easier for you. And that's basically the gist of it. So I would just continue repeating and rotating my shapes around to get a finished composition. So I will continue to play with this, and I'll show you the finished product in class. Okay, so draw your shapes using the pen tool. I would suggest using the curvature pen tool, but take your time and learn the pen tool by following along in those tutorials. Create your shape, have a plan, or shapes, and then create a new document. Rule of thirds is a good place to start and make one of these intersecting points sort of the most interesting part of your composition. Like maybe this will be really complicated and you'll have a little bit more negative space, you know, flowing throughout the rest of the design. You can create sort of like a spiral effect of shapes moving through your design. Okay, so it's up to you how you finish that. So again, pick a color harmony, draw your organic shapes, and come up with a really cool dynamic composition with a really strong focal point and movement and balance, variation and repetition. Good luck and have fun.